Hey everybody, it's me, Michael Kosta. How we doing? Happy Monday, September 22nd. This is the Tennis Anyone podcast. How are my levels? That's a little better. Thanks, you guys. It's been a little bit of a crazy week in my industry, but I realize that's not everyone's industry. And we just had the Laver Cup, which was in San Francisco. I don't know how these guys do it. I mean, it's a lot of tennis. It's a lot of tennis. And they act so animated and so performative that I don't buy it. I don't believe it. I know it's nice to play on a team. I know that you win $250,000 if you win. Team World 1, coached by Andre Agassi. I think Pat Rafter was there. I think Tim Henman coached Team Europe. And look, $250,000, that is a lot of money, but they are very, very coached to play it up and act big. And I think the Laver Cup has been a success. I still kind of wonder, did we need it? I think it's great that there's something named after Rod Laver besides Laver Arena. I know this is Roger Federer's brainchild. I love the court. I think the court looks beautiful. It feels very slow. Also, did I read that Fritz has beat Zverev 6 times in a row? It feels very, very slow. I like that it's quick matches. I like that doubles is a part of it. We don't know what people are being paid for appearance fee. We did not have Yannick Sinner. 2020 has become an insider. Where is Laver Cup 2026 will be in London. I just think tennis always has this issue with, are we doing too much tennis? Do we need to miss tennis? And the Laver Cup is branded great. The color of the court is great. The red and the blue is great. But you're not seeing Djokovic. You're not seeing Sinner. We saw a lot of guys that we didn't see. We did see Fritz. We didn't see Ben Shelton. I think he's injured. Did we see Jack Draper? No. Yannick Noah was the other coach under Tim Henman. Did we see Musetti? Nope. Did we see Hachinov? Nope. We did see Alcaraz, and he lost to Taylor Fritz. And if I'm Alcaraz, I'm like, fuck this. I mean, I'll play for the money, I guess. But did we see Holger Rune? Yes. Did we see Casper Ruud? Yes. Did we see Felix? He'd be Team World. He probably hadn't qualified yet because, this is based off the rankings that they had at the French Open for some reason. Tommy Paul, I think, snuck in as a alternate or something. Rublev was not in. So, look, Team Europe was Alcaraz, Zverev, Rune, Ruud, Mensik, Kobali as alternate Makic. Makic, you know what I mean? That's very solid. And then Team World was Fritz, Demonur, Cerundolo, Michelson, Fonseca, Opelka. Jensen Brooksby was an alternate coach by Andre Agassi, Pat Rafter. So look, it still feels like a big event. The names have dropped. You also just had Davis Cup. It's just a lot. It's a lot. I think the branding's cool. I think Roger Federer's cool. I think Rod Laver's cool. Watching and promoting the sport is good. I just wonder. I do this every time. I got to put my focus on. I just wonder, I think it's smart to move it around from city to city. People in San Francisco need to watch more pro tennis. London, that's so close to Wimbledon. Maybe the plan is kind of like what Davis Cup does, where it's even lower tier, unfortunately. Take it to big cities that are underrepresented in the tennis community, and those people can see and watch this great sport. And I hope that is what the plan is and what the goal is. And if you buy tickets, you don't want the players to look like, oh, ho-hum, another tournament. So I get it. They're coached to be up and come on, let's go. And that's more fun. But there's no ranking points. It's just money. So how can they be that excited? You know what I mean? And then the women are in China. Let's quickly look at the women results. We'll talk about Jimmy Kimmel. We'll talk about the FCC. It feels heavy right now. The tour, WTA calendar. Finished. We are September 22nd. There's nothing in September showing up. That can't be true. Something's going on. Challenger, no thank you. The tour. Okay. Oh my goodness. This is okay. We had the in progress. Why is this so complicated, you guys? The WTA tour calendar. China Open. All. Okay. Let's just do all. Is that so hard? March? No. Sorry, you guys. This is lame. All right. We had a WTA, the Korea Open won by Swiatek. We had the Guadalajara 500. The Korea Open, by the way, was a WTA 500. On hard, the WTA 500 in Guadalajara was won by Jovic. 250 won by, in Brazil, Rocco Tomanga Raujana. I mean, what? And then coming up now, starting in 2 days, is the China Open, which is a WTA 1000. And then they have another one in Wuhan, China, a WTA 1000. So who doesn't want to be Wuhan this time of year? Man, this country, lots going on. I want to thank everybody who showed up to Grand Rapids. We had a great sold-out show. I signed 35 books. I didn't bring enough books. So I went to Milwaukee. I didn't have any books to sell. I had 2 defective books to sell. The publisher sent me a bunch of books, and 2 of them started on page 19. So I prorated each page. Each page is about 10 cents. That gives you some indication of how much your writing is worth. Each page is worth around 10 cents, so I knocked off the equivalent of 19 pages less, which is kind of bullshit because the first 19 pages of a book are very important. You need to know whether or not you want to keep reading or not. But, we had long meet and greets. We had tons of pictures. We had lots of Tennis Anyone listeners. Thank you for coming. I say this every show, but I'll say it to you as well. It's never lost on me if even more than one person is interested in saying hi, listening to my pod, or coming to a comedy show. For so long in this business, you perform for nobody, for no money, for no fanfare, for no attention. And I hope I always feel this way. I know some comics do feel this way. Some people turn bitter, which is a trap. But look, I always want to sell more tickets. I always want to be in bigger venues, but I'm also going to always challenge myself to be thankful. Holy shit. 230 people in Grand Rapids just showed up and got a babysitter and found the theater that was absolutely no markings of comedy anywhere. And I landed, and I immediately got frustrated because I couldn't even find where I was performing. I mean, there's marquees everywhere, and there should be signage. I'm so thankful that all those people bought tickets. Nobody knew where to find it. And this is one of those things that, you spend time on as a comedian. When I'm in Brooklyn, New York, I'm buying ads and I'm organizing travel and figuring out all this stuff. And you think it's all happening, and you get there and it's like, where's the fucking foot traffic? This is crazy. The good news about Grand Rapids, we were sold out. Milwaukee was very close too, but again, frustrating that, I guess really what I should do, and some comics do this, is they hire street teams in that city where they plaster shit up everywhere, which is, I think, partially illegal to just put up flyers everywhere. I don't do that. I do a lot of my ads online and obviously through word of mouth and through the pod. So look, thank you to everyone who came. We had great shows. I'll be in Detroit in 2 weeks at Mark Ridley's Comedy Castle. A great, great, great venue. If you haven't been to comedy show there, please come. We'll be doing meet and greets after, and we'll be signing books after, personalizing books after as well. Appreciate you so much. Very touched that some people who've listened to the book on the audiobook still bought a book, so I'd sign it to them. Amazing. Amazing. Yeah, I was partying with Jimmy Kimmel Sunday night. Monday, he made those comments. And Tuesday, he was gone. He is suspended indefinitely. That is not a cancellation. What he said was a little nuanced. It sounded like what he said was that the shooter of Charlie Kirk was MAGA. What he actually said was that MAGA, the MAGA gang, is doing everything they can to make it seem like the shooter wasn't one of them. It's a little more defensive in nature. I am not going to get into the ins and outs of what he said. Was it funny? Was it accurate? It certainly wasn't inaccurate by the time he said it. It changed 24 hours later because, and this is one of the things that comes up a lot, and that a lot of people have been very vocal on my Instagram about this. It wasn't funny. His ratings are bad. This was happening with Colbert. He hasn't said a funny thing since Trump was elected. Whatever. That's all taste, everybody. That's all taste. Taste, taste, taste. That's subjective. That's your opinion. That's fine. Your opinion is validated. Your opinion is important, but you aren't allowed to get canceled because your opinion is different than someone else's. And here's, look. A lot of people have been messaging me saying, but he worked for a private company. You're right. And Roseanne Barr was fired because she said despicable things, and she was fired by a private, I don't know if it's private company, a for-profit company. You can't say Disney's a private company if it's publicly traded. I don't know the answer to that. But, meaning the employer of a company, that company can fire somebody because of that stuff. And technically, that is who fired or suspended Jimmy Kimmel. However, the reason this is becoming a big thing, and this is what I want to share with all the haters who say Stephen Colbert wasn't funny, Jimmy Kimmel wasn't funny. In the case of Jimmy Kimmel in particular, the reason this is so illegal and a violation of the First Amendment is the government, the FCC chair, moments before that, hours, half a day, went online and said companies need to start doing something. And we'll do this the easy way or the hard way, which is a threat, which is government coercion. And you're not allowed to do that. That's against the law. There's legal precedent about government coercion. So that's also why immediately the FCC chair went on Twitter and said something like, the companies did it. The companies did it. And that's immediately why Trump and the Republicans went, the ratings are bad. The ratings are bad. Because they're trying to belittle and walk back this whole, the government says this person should be canceled, and now this person is canceled. So for all of you that are mad at me, what about Tucker Carlson? What about Roseanne Barr? What about, I don't know, fuck. Once people start getting into vaccines on my Instagram, I'm like, oh, geez, here we go. I'm trying really hard to be objective because this is my world. I love late night. You know this. I think it's an easy trap to fall into. It wasn't funny. Hey, that's not funny. Hey, he's not funny. Like what? That it doesn't, it would be like if the government said that the guitarist for this band cross the line, and that band needs to be canceled, or that guitarist can't play anymore. And then everyone came back and said, but he wasn't good at guitar. But that guy wasn't a good guitar player. It has nothing to do with that. The government shouldn't be able to say that guitarists can't play guitar. That's it. And it's harder to go there when you don't already like the person, right? Or you don't, for me to defend a right-wing activist, someone that I disagree with, it's harder because I have to go there to a place that I don't agree with, or statements that I don't agree with. Let's use religion. Someone who's advocating, evangelizing for Christianity. That's hard for me because that's not the camp that I'm in. But we got to do it, and we have to support the First Amendment and the right to criticize our government. That is, look, don't think of it as right and left. Think of it as, do we want royalty? Do we want kings? That's why that No Kings protest was so effective. It left the left and the right out of it and just said, we want to live somewhere where we can criticize the king, right? We don't even have a fucking king. The Declaration of Independence, I re-listened to it thanks to Aaron, who was on our show, the Marine, the lawyer, Aaron Stark. I re-listened to the Declaration of Independence, and all Americans should, really. It's not long. It's 6 minutes, but so much of it is them complaining and saying we want freedom because we don't want to be under the boot of a tyrannical king. It's like what this whole country was founded on. So, interesting. What's tricky about my podcast is I have so many Daily Show fans and then also so many tennis fans. And the more I really embed in the tennis world, I realize, probably a lot of people in this tennis world, it's a lot more center, a lot more right than the Daily Show world. And I'm okay with that. I mean, I think we need more central voices. And I think people tend to trust the Daily Show a little bit more because we do try to call out the bullshit on both sides. And I will say, Colbert and Kimmel, haven't done themselves any favors by going so hard on Trump all the time. However, that is a matter of taste. And also, you can make the very intelligent argument that a comedian's job is to call out bullshit where it exists. And there is a lot of bullshit with Donald Trump. So go Jimmy, go Stephen. The argument about the FCC airwaves, yeah, you're right. Those broadcast channels need an FCC license. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention that I was quickly Googling, does Comedy Central need an FCC license? Apparently no. So maybe we fly under the radar. Maybe Donald Trump likes Jon Stewart. Maybe Donald Trump only thinks there's 3-4 news channels broadcast. I briefly thought back to when I did Joe Rogan in March, and Rogan, doesn't really ever let me talk when I've done the show. There's now about 8 hours of footage of me just listening to Joe talk, which is what he does when he wants to alpha somebody. So I guess I was alphaed twice. But he immediately talked about how Jon Stewart goes after both sides. And I thought that was really interesting because we didn't talk about that before the pod. If that's out in the ether, then there's a lot of Daily Show people that wouldn't appreciate that. There was a lot of pushback that happened when Jon went after Joe Biden for being so old. But maybe in a strange way that benefits the Daily Show, that we are seen as a place that isn't afraid to call out the bullshit where it exists. I should mention, the Daily Show's been on air for 30 years, something like 7 different administrations. And it isn't like, the Daily Show has always been embedded in politics. Maybe not the first year with Craig Kilborn, maybe a little bit. That'd be a question for Craig. But the late shows weren't always. right? So this is what's kind of interesting. You had your Johnny Carsons. Jay Leno famously was like, never go political, or if he did a Republican joke, he would do a Democrat joke. And probably the Daily Show has a lot to do with this also. I mean, a lot of the guys who host late night decided to go very political. One of the reasons was they felt inclined to speak out on the bullshit, which I support. One of the reasons was it works, right? Nobody creates a better video clip than Donald Trump. He says the thing in a funny way, quickly. It doesn't sound smart. It's 4 words. You can clip it. You can roll to the host reaction, whatever. And you know, there has been a shift to go hard politically in late night. And the Daily Show has always been in this space. And the late shows haven't always been in this space. I will always defend their right to do what they want. But, you know, it's interesting to think Jimmy Fallon doesn't do that. And yet seems like everybody makes fun of him more than the other guys because it's so soft. So, the bottom line is we shouldn't sit here and talk taste. We shouldn't sit here and say, but that band's music is bad. It's about the First Amendment, which protects our right to free speech. And the reason that's relevant, the reason that is relevant is the FCC is a part of the government and is involved in providing licenses for these broadcast networks. So therefore, they are tied to the Constitution and the First Amendment because it's part of the government. Does everybody get that? That's super important. The reason that ABC is protected, the reason Jimmy Fallon's show, I'm all fucked up. The reason Jimmy Kimmel's show is protected under the First Amendment is because the FCC gives it a license, and the FCC is part of the government, which falls under the Constitution. So technically, Comedy Central isn't protected under the First Amendment. I don't know. Is that right? Because it's not our license. We're just a company. We're just a for-profit company. Maybe. It's also why you can just get fired, I guess. Anyways, I'm disappointed in it. I support Jimmy Kimmel. I listened to a couple podcasts. I listened to The Town with Bill Carter, who wrote so many those great late night books. Also, his son Dano does a show in L.A. I've known him forever. Dano Carter, funny comedian, good guy. And it's 25 minutes. It's called The Town. It's on Spotify. It's a good interview. It just really gets into the nuance of it all and how Disney is kind of a little bit trapped right now because a lot of the art community, showbiz community is furious about this, feels censored, government censorship. The one thing I hear all the time in my world is like, why are these companies caving? Why didn't Bob Iger step up? When is someone going to step up? The only thing that Donald Trump or an authoritarian ruler responds to is power, is force. And as soon as ABC paid him $16 million, or CBS, or with the George Stephanopoulos, as soon as they relented, it's not like Trump goes, oh, I won, let's back off now. He goes harder. So somebody has to go, back up. It's like when a horse gets too close. Back up. There's the boundary. And I think a really effective strategy is to question Bob Iger's legacy. Question these companies' legacy. They want money. They like money. And Disney is always kind of in the world of pleasing all people all the time. But I mean, at some point, all right, you made a few more bucks on your stock share, but do you want to live in this country where if the president is mad, he picks up the phone? Do we want our art to go through the president? No. No. We can all do a better job with our art. We could try to be more fair in our criticisms. You know, for those of you that say, why isn't there a late night show that goes conservative? There is. Watch it on Fox. Watch it. Go watch it. Tell me what you think. Could there be another one? Maybe a little higher brow? Probably. We could probably have a lot of conservative. We might have 5 conservative talk shows soon. But again, the market should dictate that. And the market, maybe there is a hole in the market. Maybe there should be more right-wing comedy. And we'll see. We'll see how that does. But again, it isn't the government's job to create that. It's the market's job. It's the market's job to create that. I'll leave you with this. I feel this wholeheartedly in my bones. It seems like the shooter of Charlie Kirk was a kid who lived online a lot. And we have a president who lives online all the time. And I just want everybody, to me, it really seems like maybe one of the solutions to all this is to get offline. It seems like the more we are online, the more we feel like the polarization is even more extreme. I just went to Grand Rapids, Michigan. I just went to Milwaukee. I travel all over. You talk to and live around people that you're not used to living around. You realize there's more in common. There's more in common than not. And it isn't as polarized as it looks online. Okay? The online social media, it magnifies these extreme voices. Think about the Charlie Kirk assassination. I mean, I didn't ask to see that video. I didn't search Charlie Kirk assassination. It was there on your TikTok search. You hit the search and it shows you all these videos that it thinks you're going to like. And it's like 3 of those. So it knows that that's going to get passed around. This is Instagram as well, Meta as well, because it's so outrageous. It's terrifying. It's like looking at a car crash. You can't almost not look at it. I mean, why is there always traffic after a car crash? It's because I'm looking at my watch because I have to take my daughter to tennis lessons soon. Why is there always traffic around a car crash? Because we all look. So in a way, much like when the stock market starts dropping too fast, they put it on pause. I feel like there should be laws where the social media, if something like that happens, it almost goes like pause. You're not allowed to look at this shit. You're not allowed to, we'll be back in an hour. We'll be back in an hour when we know more information. It's just, I don't know how we're going to solve this problem, but I can tell you we're not as extremely divided as it feels on there. We are divided. There's a lot of differences. It's a big country. I mean, I hear everyone talking about Charlie Kirk and all the religious stuff, and I just go like, are we living in the same country? I just am so much different than these people. But maybe through television, you just kind of feel that, and that's what it is. But maybe online, it exacerbates those extreme opinions on both sides. And I just want to say, like, we aren't as split up as it feels. So maybe the solution is getting offline. Maybe the solution is really treating it like junk food, treating it like a bowl of ice cream. Like, you can have some, but it's one helping. The challenging part of the phone is how useful it is Uber, Delta, your boarding pass, your everything, right? Your text with your wife, who's picking up the kids, what are we doing for dinner? It's all right there. But also right there are the things that divide us and make us feel outraged and make us feel hopeless about the world. So I guess one argument would be remove those apps. Yeah, maybe a dumb phone. That might be it. But much like we think about our parents, how did you not know smoking was bad for you, Mom? Are you kidding me? You're inhaling fucking smoke. Maybe our kids or our grandkids at this point, and you go, what are you talking about? Look at how shitty you felt with that thing. You even admit that when you scroll, you feel dumb. I've been reading like these long articles in the New Yorker, and then I've been reading books. And you just feel better after those. You feel more locked in. And then any benefit that I've done for myself, I quickly scroll and I just feel like a dumb fuck. So I'm hoping we get to this conclusion sooner, but I'm wondering if maybe the answer is back out of it. Back out of it. Don't do it. Treat it like junk food, because it is. It is. And, you start to feel anger. You start to feel more hate. You start to feel more divided when you're online all the time. And then I hear Trump speak, and I go, he's talking the way someone feels who's online all the time, much like the guy who killed Charlie Kirk. He let himself feel hate or whatever and take it to the most extreme. So, and maybe most of us are doing a good job with this, and it just takes a few to fuck it all up. But scary stuff. I want you to know that we are closer together than you realize. Also, it's just so funny with tennis. So much stuff is going on. I feel like we have a giant assault on the First Amendment. I feel like we've slipped into authoritarianism. I feel like and wonder if half this country even cares if we're headed there or if we are there. I mean, the fact that a government essentially shut down a comedian, that to me is a huge red flag of where we are. But then you open up your phone and it's like, Andre Agassi is excited that Taylor Fritz won. It's just like, I don't know. It just feels so silly sometimes, the sports of it all. It's like Tennis Channel the same, right? You're just like this totally oblivious. There's that movie Civil War. I interviewed the director on the show who was not really that happy to be interviewed by me or be there in general. He's a director. There's a great scene where the whole world is fighting. The whole United States is at serious civil war. But there's this one little town where they go where everything is perfect. And it's like surrounded by guarded snipers and gates. But this one little town is like, we're going to keep it the way that it was. We're not going to be aware of the outside world, even though people are killing each other and there's bodies everywhere and violence, blah, blah, blah. This one little town is like, this is what we wanted it to be, and this is what we're going to keep it as. It's not real, but we're going to pretend that it is. That's what I feel oftentimes living in a world where I have to dissect and consume American politics, and then who also loves tennis. And the tennis world is so cute sometimes, just not even acknowledging that this stuff is happening. That's why it's so great when like a Ukrainian player is like, no, I'm not shaking the Russian girl's hand. And the Tennis Channel's like, holy shit, how do we fucking handle this? This is real life. Ladies and gentlemen, game, set, match. Kosta, my dog Walter, my book, Lucky Loser. Get it wherever you want. Come see me in Detroit. I'll be signing them. What else? Thank you to everybody who came to Grand Rapids and Milwaukee. I love and respect you all. Game, set, match. Kosta, move your feet. Yeah.